All right, and it looks like we are live, gentlemen. What's going on, everyone? How are you all doing? Oh, sorry, I got a little bit of feedback there on my end. I'm just fixing that. Yeah, but how is everybody all doing? Welcome tonight to the Xbox Roundtable podcast. This is show number 284. Your place on Sunday nights for some fun Xbox talk and more every Sunday night. You know the drill, guys. I'm Invader, and as you can all imagine, tonight's talk is going to be dominated by the Chess World Cup. Guys, did anybody see who won it? Ah, well, okay. Obviously, Starfield will be the talk tonight, but there was a Chess World Cup. Some people do like it. We'll give you our personal thoughts on the game and, some of the reviews too, because there was some interesting review scores out there, to say the least. We will cover that. Also, we plan to discuss PlayStation increasing the prices on PlayStation Plus subscriptions. Can gamers stomach these hikes? We'll go across the panel and get some opinions on that. Anyways, I am really pumped for tonight's show, as I'm sure the panel all is as well. And joining the crew tonight is a familiar face. He's been on a few times, Mr. O Theory himself, Michael Apong. Mike, how you been?
Hey guys, I'm okay. I've been there, here and there, but everything is solid, and glad to be here.
All right. Well, happy to have you here. I know you've been playing Starfield the past few days, and I can't wait to get your thoughts on it. Moving on to the TXR crew, starting off with Eric Shockley. Buddy, how you been?
Oh, good. Just haven't, unfortunately, didn't get any Starfield in like I was planning, even though I had like the, reward points for the deluxe edition. Um, Big fantasy football weekend, so I had a lot of those drafts going on, so couldn't fit them all in. So, but I'll definitely be, I'll just be waiting for the Game Pass to drop, and I'll definitely be on it all this week. So definitely excited for that, and excited to get into these topics.
Yeah, man. Totally. Next up, we have the Dungeon Master himself, Crusader. What's up, buddy?
What's up? So I wasn't originally gonna be on tonight, so the chat knows. My basement was being used for Dungeons and Dragons. It was the end of a 4-year campaign that my roommate and a bunch of my college friends were in. So we were using my basement for their final session, so they could do it in person. They were all in costume and everything. It was a lot of fun. But that ended early because they turbo smashed the final boss with one attack, and it was hilarious. It was like just like one of those combos in like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom where you have like all of the heroes attacking all at once. Hilarious. But I'm good. I've been playing a lot of Starfield. I think I have 23 hours in right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. I think I might have a couple. I mean, I haven't had as much time to dedicate to it, but
I took
damn.
Friday off.
I know a lot of
needed a
people who
vacation.
I know a lot of people who quote unquote took Friday off. So
I took it off. I took it off ahead of time because I wanted a 4-day weekend after the crunch time that was my work for the last couple weeks because it was getting schools ready for school, IT wise, and but then I have tomorrow off too, so it doesn't stop after the show. I'm going straight back to it because I'm pretty far into the story and I want to finish the story and find out what's up with this whole new game plus nonsense.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm very curious myself. We'll get into that. And Centurion, the madman himself from the desert. How you been?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just playing Starfield when I can. Try to take the day off, but with my responsibilities there, a bunch of people freaking ended up calling out, so there was no way for me to take the day off. So I've just kind of been playing what I can when I can. Other than that, just doing my thing.
All right. I hear you. Well, I'm glad you were able to put some time into it, and looks like we'll be having an interesting chat about said game. Again, I wish I was able to put more time into it. Put in a couple hours, and yeah, I certainly have my opinions on it as well. Hey there to everybody in the chat. Happy to see you all here. Familiar faces already. Guys, if you've been playing Starfield, hey, let us know your thoughts on it. Would love to get some takes in the chat. Also, reminder everyone here, hey, share out the link to the show and give us a like, as it does help us out with that pesky YouTube algorithm. You know, we want to be front and center, and hey, we got a pretty awesome crew tonight. So, hey, the more eyes on here, the merrier. So, hey, get us some views over here. Okay, yeah, guys, I mean, let's go on to the main attraction, shall we, gentlemen? Starfield is finally out into the wild. Well, I mean, if you have the early access anyway, well, thousands of players have gotten their hands on it, and it seems to be lighting up streaming and social media. Really, it's become like a sensation for the past few days. I can't wait for like everybody to be able to play it. And yeah, people are just kind of living out their space adventure, so to speak. And again, I know a few of you guys on the panel said that you've been playing it. So, you know, let's go straight into things with our thoughts on it. Michael, I know that we were kind of discussing it a bit before the show, but like, how are you enjoying the game so far?
Yeah, before going in, I was extremely hyped. There's no way I can describe how hyped I was after the live action trailer, and I jumped straight in, and man, it was beautiful. I'm playing on PC and I'm taking the full experience in. It's beautiful, but this game doesn't really care. It just sends you straight into the deep end. Especially, I don't know if people want spoilers, but I'll try and stay away from spoilers as much as possible. But it doesn't really hold your hand. It just shows you what you need to know, and hey, just go. Especially when it comes to the space combat, it kind of overwhelms you a little bit in the beginning with a lot of information on how to do certain things, and then it just takes you right in, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the experience of space combat, the people that we meet, the structure of the story. Every single character is interesting. You know, in certain games, you kind of see, or you meet people who are not really interested. You really just want to skip whenever they come on screen. But everybody is interesting, especially the very first character you meet. She's female and she has some really creepy dialogue, and her companion. I mean, everything is beautiful, man. It's so beautiful. Holding back, talking about spoilers is really hard, but it's a fantastic experience, and I think Bethesda has done it. They've killed it. So far, so good. That's all I can say. I don't know what's ahead of me, if there are any massive bugs or anything. I don't know. But right now, everything has been perfect. I haven't met any bugs that kind of takes me out. To be honest, none at all. So I'm enjoying the ride right now, and it keeps getting better and better. Yes, the game is not perfect. There are certain things that could have been refined, but it's just something. It's more of a nitpick. I really don't care, but it could have been a little bit more refined. But apart from that, everything looks great, and the 7 out of 10 review was absolutely bonkers. That was crazy, but hey, my experience has been perfect so far.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from the camp that no game, no matter how refined it could be or maybe, is perfect. No game is perfect in my opinion. That being
Yeah.
said, there are amazing spellbound like experiences that just take my breath away that I just enjoy for what they are. Um I'm probably the one in the group here that has put the least amount of time into Starfield. I only have a couple of hours into it. I mean, I can just say that I'm really enjoying myself. I do have a couple of nitpicks, like the menu. Personally, I think I think the menu could have been done a little better. That being said, like me personally, I'm amazed by like the face animations and just when the NPCs are talking, I'm just like, oh wow, they actually just a lot of them look like just regular people having conversations with you.
Yeah, yeah. Especially the first character. Lynn, I just have to say her name. I really like
Yeah.
her. She's very strict and direct. I really like her and her companion, Hella. That
Mm-hmm.
the whole experience with the characters is really interesting. They actually took their time, and these kind of characters are fleshed out. They feel more human, and I really like that. It just makes the
Oh, uh, did you cut out, Mike?
Uh-oh.
Hey, can you
Oh,
hear me?
Yeah,
oh,
we can hear
there
you
you
now.
are. Yeah, I just
Okay,
kind of went quiet for a
okay,
sec.
okay. So basically, the Bethesda took their time with the characters and made them more believable and more fleshed out, and it actually adds to the experience of being in the world of Starfield. That is something that really stands out when you play this game.
All right, all right. So, what kind of a character did you make then, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, to be honest, I have to confess, I was in a hurry to play this game, so I knew there's this trap in RPGs where you could stay hours in the character creation. So I didn't want to fall in that trap and just play the game. So I chose basically a soldier, and I just chose to be a United Colonies native, and that was it. Even my character looks really generic. I just changed the skin tone, and that was it. So soldier, skin tone, United Colonies, and I was in. I was just writing, and man, it's good. I could have added more, but I didn't want to overwhelm myself because I already before going in, I expected the game to be so massive that I didn't want so much baggage on me where things will start affecting me negatively. So I just went with the basic when it comes to character, and as time goes on, I'll build on it and make my character more complex and join factions. And I wanted to let that happen naturally during the game. So I chose a very basic template, and I think it was the right choice because certain things that I've encountered it would have actually affected me if I had wasted more time and chose certain traits that were not favorable to me. So yeah, I think I made the right choice with my character creation.
All right, all right. Yeah, I mean, I don't go too hardcore into these things like you. I kind of like to get into the action. I don't like to get slowed
Mhm.
down by the character creator. I'm like, whatever.
Mhm.
But I do have the game running in the background right now, and I chose the space scoundrel kind of. I wanted to basically my idea was to be uh
A pirate.
like a Han Solo kind of
Okay.
pirate, kind of gunslinger kind of a guy.
Mhm.
The traits that I chose were alien DNA, Taskmaster, and the hero worship. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really like a lot of the
No
traits that
way.
they had there.
Did you go with hero worship?
I did.
Oh,
Well,
you're in
at
for a
least,
ride.
The adoring
well,
fan.
what do you want me to say? I mean, all the other ones are like, well, you get this, but then you get capped by this, and that. So I'm like,
Mm.
okay, he's a bit annoying. Like, don't get me wrong, but he'll give you some gifts
So
along the way.
you don't have to take anything in those. You can leave those completely blank if you want. They're optional.
Yeah, I left
Oh,
them
really?
blank.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I left them blank. Two of them. I just chose the first one and left the rest blank.
They're meant to more define your playthrough, but they are completely optional if you do not want them.
Mm.
Oh, okay. All right. So if I want to take one out at any
I don't know
time,
that
could
you
I?
can after you've created your character.
There's a way. There's a way to remove hero worship, and yeah,
I
I
know
think
there's
you
a way
know.
to remove hero.
Yeah, you know how to remove that.
It's a very permanent way, from what I
Yeah,
think.
very permanent.
um, okay, yeah, but I don't know. Either way, I'm just I don't know. Like with the whole space scoundrel thing, I wanted to like be good with like at least one set of weapons. So pistol, and I think it has like good space flying capabilities as well.
Mm,
So, which again, space combat is going to be a pretty decent portion of the game. So I'm like, okay, I'll go for it. Which, by the way, so far, I mean, I've only had like one or two interactions, but I am enjoying that. I can't wait
yeah,
to actually play around with like, make editing and creating the my own ship. So I that's going to be a lot of fun.
yeah. When it comes to the space combat, it was really overwhelming. But as when I got into it, the power allocation system, I started playing with it, and it felt really good. It really feels like you're actually a pilot of a spacecraft, and you're really managing your resources. You even repair your ship sometimes during combat. It feels really good. One thing that I kind of noticed was that the enemies are tough. Like seriously, this game doesn't play. The enemies will mess you up in a couple of shots and you are dead. I don't know whether it's something that I chose in my trait, but my character is very weak, so I have to manage and actually you have to be very skillful and actually don't go in guns blazing because you would definitely die. That's one thing I noticed that the enemies are really strong. I don't know if it's that's default or it's something that I chose, but the enemies can kill you very quickly. Your armor is there's literally no armor, I think, unless I missed something massive. So that's one thing that kind of stood out to me. Like, whoa, these guys will kill you. You have to be very careful, and that's the only thing. And these are very rare. There's also the health packs are very rare. You could go through a whole battle and you find just one health pack in one place, and that's it. These are tiny things that I kind of noticed that stood out to me. I mean, Bethesda, come on, man, don't be stingy with the health packs.
So
It's kind of like a
there are
yeah.
perks. There's a perk that gets past that and ammo.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
the perk. The first tier of the perk is you get more money in chests. The second tier is you get more ammo in chests, and the third tier is you get more health items.
oh okay.
And all you
Okay.
have to do to tier it up, well, you have to keep investing extra perk points for the newer tiers. But the only thing you have to do to actually, because you know how every perk has a challenge you have to do,
Hmm.
so that you can do. The only thing you have to do for that is literally open containers. So
Whoa.
open chests.
Okay. Okay. But I keep messing up, and I would need a digital. I forgot the name of the thing, but the gimmick, the device we use to open the chests and the boxes is really I keep messing it up, and I have to go around looking for one to buy. And yeah, I think I'll have an issue with that. But nice heads up. I'll pay more attention to it so I can increase these perks to make it easier for me because it's really hard. Because these enemies are brutal, man. They will kill you. That's that's it.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, I've only had a few encounters, but actually, I talked my way out of battling, what was it, the pirate captain at the beginning, so that was kind of handy. But again, I'm trying to be a guy who, is kind of wisecracking with his mouth and so on. So I'm trying to see what I can get away with pretty early on. So taking a few risks, which I don't usually do. I try and play it safe usually, so this is different for me. Um, and I just want to explore. I just want to roam around and explore. So put more time into it later on. Let's see. Centurion, I'll go over to you next because you said you put a bit of time into the game already. What are your thoughts on it? You agreeing with Mike on this one? Like, what are your thoughts on Starfield?
I have a lot of thoughts on Starfield, but that's just
Ooh.
because I've played a lot of Bethesda titles.
Oh yes, that's right.
So right out the gate, if you're like saying it feels like Fallout or Skyrim, no shit. I'm sorry, but that like it's kind of like what I was describing to my wife today. Who goes out and basically says this feels like something that they've created before? That's like telling Picasso that his painting looked like the last painting he did. When you're an artist, you have a sense of style. They do sometimes branch out, because I know Picasso is not known for just doing abstract art, because he also did some other stuff. But that's where yes, it feels like a Bethesda title. That's exactly what it's supposed to feel like. It's there's like, even my wife looking at it when she walked by, because I didn't even tell her about this game, she said this looks like Fallout. And I was like, wow, look at that. And my wife doesn't even play Bethesda titles. I'm actually enjoying it. It's everything about, I mean, like, yeah, it just throws you right into the mix of it. Like our guest said, you just kind of got to stumble your way through, figure out what direction you're going to go, because it's kind of like a giant sandbox. I mean, I've already visited what's left of Earth. I've been hanging around the old solar system, or as they like to say, the old neighborhood. Also already checked out Atlantis. One of the funny parts is, even me and my wife jokingly, I was like, hey, let's go check out Uranus. Come on. Everybody has to make out that joke. But it's been a very good time. Very good experience. Like we all talked about, the ship combat, just being able to divert your systems, like engine power, shield power, stuff like that. Very reminiscent, in my opinion, of Star Wars Squadrons, which I actually thought was a big fun part of Star Wars Squadrons. When you're actually I mean, that's where a lot of people couldn't handle the learning curve on Star Wars Squadrons, was diverting power. Depending, if you had somebody behind you, you don't dial all your shields up on the front of it, you put your shields on the back of you to give you more cushion for them blasting you. And to me, this feels like almost second nature because of Star Wars Squadrons. Definitely the combat is a lot more jumpy. I find myself now actually doing a lot more. It's kind of like the combat. I hate to give the comparison, but Destiny, you know how you have that jumpiness to the combat in Destiny where you float around? I've never had that before in a Bethesda title. And when you're on these planets that have lower gravity and you actually start jumping around and coming down on enemies as you're shooting and stuff, it gets really fun. There's definitely a lot of new things here when it comes to a Bethesda title, but yes, it still feels like a Bethesda title. They didn't like branch so far down the rabbit hole. It doesn't feel anything like they've made before. This has all the hallmarks of a decent Bethesda title, but there's now newer stuff. Like we got the shipbuilding. I'm still trying to figure out the freaking shipbuilding. That is so freaking complex. It's insane. Having to balance the mass of the ship with how much power your engines and everything can push out. You find yourself wanting to build a giant fortress, and you find out you can't do it with the components that you have at your disposal. But definitely enjoying all the different aspects that Starfield have to offer. This was a really great get for Xbox. I'm really glad that they prevented, like, I hate to say it, you know, I'm not over here championing taking games away from people, but at the same time, it came down literally to the battle of the checkbooks, and I'm sorry that Microsoft's was bigger. Get the F over it. You know, sorry, take your ball, go home and cry about it. But don't skip on this experience just because it's a Microsoft title at this point. I'm really glad that they were able to prevent PlayStation from basically kind of like blocking them on this one. Definitely, though, I know there's a lot of people. I don't know if we're going to touch on it tonight. There's a lot of people. I mean, there is literally an asinine amount of people that are just grabbing at straws, reaching for the stars to get people to want to hate this game. And just some of the narratives that have come out of, I warned everybody, I hate to say it, but I tried to be the guy to be like, hey, the media is going to be a shit show. And guess what? It turned into a shit show real quick. But we're also seeing other people really try to reach for other complaints that, in my opinion, make absolutely no sense. This game is very inclusive. It's definitely, I mean, like, I couldn't believe I saw somebody lose their crap on the internet over pronouns in the game. That completely blew my mind. I watched one gaming site get mad over the choice of the music in a trailer. They were mad that they used Imagine Dragons. I've literally seen so many different asinine takes on trying to somehow generate negativity around this game. And this is what sucks about the whole situation is, yeah, we can all praise Bethesda and Starfield till we're blue in the face and I mean, like literally all these sites at this point have no ability of doing anything constructive anymore. Bad news sells, and it's the only thing they know how to do.
Right. I mean, some things I can understand. Like, again, reviews. You could take, again, a lot of it can be, somebody's, again, just somebody's just take on it, right? Their own, like how they feel about it. And hey, some people might not be inclined towards RPGs. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't know why they're reviewing it if that's the case.
Sadly, it's not the fact that they're finding the wrong reviewer, because it's going to be hard pressed to find anybody that doesn't enjoy a good old fashioned RPG. It's these game reviewers that feel like that there's some Pulitzer Prize or some award at the end of the tunnel, that they are going to somehow strike some kind of a political stance, a cultural tone, or just some personal preference that they have. And at the end of the day, you are here to review a game. I don't care what your political affiliations are. I don't care what your personal opinion is and how you feel about the economics of the world on, we all know this. Apparently, this was an attack on poor people to be able to play this game early. I laughed at that because, I mean, literally, there is tons of businesses out there that all use tactics to gain a little bit more revenue for people that are impatient. And yes, it's definitely very predatory. I will agree to that. But it's like you can't treat Microsoft as if they have just all of a sudden invented this concept overnight. This is something that is very common practice. I mean, like, look at Best Buy right now. They're having massive Labor Day sales. To participate in some of these sales, you have to be part of their yearly subscription that you pay for. So that's basically prepaying for your discounts. So basically, if we go on that thought, poor people are cut off from getting a good deal because they don't afford the subscription at Best Buy. I like, that's why I'm just like totally floored at like how we're just all of a sudden trying to go down this rabbit hole of just looking for anything at all to complain about. And it's just getting absolutely asinine. I mean, we could go on all night. I don't want to turn that into the conversation unless you guys want to go there later, but this is definitely a great game. It's something for everybody to check out, especially if you're a fan of Bethesda titles when it comes to the RPGs that they've made over the years. We're talking Fallout 4, even Fallout 3. We also have Skyrim. There is a lot of stuff here for you to consume. Like, I mean, landing on one planet could literally consume a day of your life if you play that long. I mean, like, literally, I spent 2 days on Atlantis doing the various missions and everything you can do and all the other stuff there. And then you finally go to a different planet and you think all right, I'm going to get somewhere on this, the main campaign. And then all of a sudden you find 50 other rabbit holes to bury your head into. Like, everywhere you turn, there is somebody needing your help. There is something going on. And they have done some amazing craftsmanship with this game. They've even interjected some of the nuances and funny things that happen to us in everyday life. You could be flying your spaceship around and you can get a hail on your spaceship from some guy trying to sell you an extended warranty on your spacecraft. We all know what that's like to get that phone call about your extended warranty on your vehicle. And that's also where the Uranus joke came from. Is I saw a video where literally the guy got a prank phone call, where some guy called his spaceship and asked, "Do you know how to get to Uranus?" And we all know how that conversation went from there.
I mean, I do find it funny that, you look at the sites that, or, outlets that didn't get any codes from Xbox or Microsoft, for example, and their nose got out of bent. I think Game Informer was one of them, or Eurogamer.
It was almost every UK publisher or did UK
Mm.
Dude,
publication.
I'm gonna just say it right now. This is what I have a big issue with. If you act like an a-hole and you get treated like an a-hole, don't cry about it.
So
When you
supposedly the reason they got codes almost immediately after those articles were published was because Microsoft was pissed and didn't know about it. It was completely Bethesda UK's publishing office that decided that no one in the UK was getting codes.
And the funny part is that's previous experiences that Bethesda has been mistreated by some of these media groups. This is where I still fully stand by. Some of these media groups need to be cut the F off. And like, I mean, like starved. I mean, like, I want you outside my freaking door, sleeping in a tent on the sidewalk, begging me every single day I walk into my office for me to give a care that you need some kind of source of anything to keep people focused on your website. Because I mean, like, literally, I would cut you off in a second and I would make you starve so hard. I have actually done this in my professional life when basically some of the distributors I have to use, when they raise prices so much that I cut them off like cold turkey, literally within 2 to 3 months, I will have a rep of theirs sitting in my front office begging me, asking me what it is I need, what I need for them to get my business back. And when I sit them down and show them what they have done and how they have basically priced themselves out of the industry, it kind of puts it into full perspective of like, if you want to continue going down this road, I have no problem acting like you don't exist because I can survive without you. At the end of the day, it's you who needs me. And that's what IGN needs to realize is at the end of the day, if Microsoft does not provide them any kind of source of creating content, the only thing that they have left is to bash Xbox and to basically kind of like hump Sony's leg all day long. And eventually it's just going to turn into the same old circus day after day. And people are just going to tune them out because IGN at that point will become completely predictable. I feel IGN needs to pay a penalty for what they're doing. And some of these other sites do. Like, I don't care how big their user base or the people it is that tune into their functions. They need to feel the squeeze that it's like, hey, we have no problem existing without you.
Did Kotaku get a code? Because they shouldn't have.
I have no idea. I didn't see a review from them.
Dude, I thought it was insane.
They're
that
blacklisted from Nintendo.
Dude, you want to hear something funny? I saw a clip of Dr. Disrespect crying that he wasn't allowed to have a code because of the controversies that he's been involved in over the past few years. He was literally angry that they would not even give him early access to the game. They didn't want to give him anything. And literally there was a clip of him on social media of him having an issue that he's just like, yeah, I've made all these mistakes, but I don't really feel there should be any penalties for the mistakes I've made. And it's like, yo, part of making a mistake and acting a certain way is don't cry about the consequences when it happens to you. Everybody needs to face the consequences when they make a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Kotaku reviewed it, but I don't know if I see a code. I don't see a score.
Like I haven't viewed anything Kotaku in years. It's just I've caught the bits of media that they put out over the past few years, and they're definitely on the downward.
Dude, did
slope.
you see the meme going around on Twitter of like the old school like 1950s like painting and it had like Starfield as the dude's face, as the dad's face walking down the sidewalk trying to get into his house, and his wife and kids are holding knives behind the door, and literally somebody's put Eurogamer on one head, Kotaku on the other, and IGN on the other. Basically all three of these media sites were hiding behind the door just waiting to get it in on Starfield.
Yeah, I just wonder, because this one is specifically an Xbox Microsoft ecosystem exclusive, that that they're reviewing it a certain way.
Oh, they are,
right? They
are. They're grading it on the fact that a multi-trillion-dollar company made a purchase. If you want to get into an idea of consolidating the industry, go write an article for that. But when you start interjecting your personal opinions of like not liking a $1 trillion company buying a game from preventing a billion-dollar company from shutting them off from that game, let's also look at it from this perspective. Microsoft gave better inclusive access to Starfield with their purchase, because if PlayStation would have got exclusive rights, it wouldn't even came to PC. Could we actually put money on thinking
Bethesda
that it would
never
come
would
to
have signed that deal. Like,
see, we don't.
We can make all of the claims in the world that would happen. No, I will put my foot down and say Bethesda wouldn't have signed that.
Bethesda wouldn't have signed the deal.
100% wouldn't have signed that deal.
Wouldn't have signed the deal, but Bethesda wouldn't have signed the deal. But at the same time, we know how PlayStation operates, and that would have been part of their deal, and that's something they would have asked. So let's just look at the fact they would have tried, and let's look at that. But let's look at that. But we're over here wanting to tear down Microsoft for basically getting an exclusive game, something that Sony is very well known for doing. And not only that, but Microsoft had no issue with that game going to PC, but PlayStation probably would have fought tooth and nail to the end to prevent that from happening. Would they have succeeded? Probably not, but that would have been Bethesda's thing. That would have had nothing to do with Sony's dreams and aspirations of somehow finagling it into being exclusive only to the PlayStation console. And this is why I also have a big issue, is if we're going to diss $1 trillion company for making an acquisition to get one up on the industry, then you guys better start tearing down PlayStation right now for Spider-Man, because PlayStation had absolutely effing nothing to do with the creation of Spider-Man. Spider-Man was created many, many years before PlayStation was even a gleam in Sony's freaking eye. And they were in the right place at the right time and were able to buy the licensing rights for Spider-Man for Sony Pictures. And they have taken full advantage of that. But that is basically the prime example of buying a franchise and cutting off access to that character to multiple platforms.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I mean, really, again, it's just them being competitive in the market. I mean, personally, I still think to this day that, I'm still blown away by the Bethesda, like this whole ZeniMax purchase from a couple of years ago. And now they're bearing the fruits of it. So,
I
don't know. Centurion.
No, for me, I was like one of those that really, like, at the time, I knew that the owner of Bethesda at the time was really close with Microsoft. He was getting very up in age and he was wanting to sell it off. And I knew Microsoft was first in line to make the purchase. And I'm pretty sure and the thing is, I would not be surprised if it was like, well, PlayStation's trying to get exclusive access to Starfield to cut you guys off. And that's when it was probably like, how much do you want?
It's actually a little bit different. It was when the rumors started going around that they were that was happening, that Microsoft approached them with the full-on offer. That's what they testified to in court the other day.
I do know that there was a great working relationship between Bethesda and Microsoft to begin with, which is probably why it was so easy to walk up and make that damn offer.
Mm-hmm.
It is funny with these reviews, the people like bitching about like, hey, if you take away all the 10s it's getting, or all the Xbox fluff sites, then it's like an average game, or it's like a 7. I'm like, that goes both ways. From Nintendo, PlayStation, there's plenty of those sites. You'll see the first few reviews will be 10s on a game that's but then you also look at it like, it's just Destructoid gave it a 10. Is Destructoid a Xbox fluff site now? No.
So I see what's going on in the chat, and that's where it's not about the number he gave. It's about the context of why he gave that number. He went on social media and talked about how Microsoft acquired Bethesda. He talked about how Microsoft is at war with poor people. We've seen, he has basically gone so many different directions, and you can just tell that his review is based on personal opinion.
So I'm not willing to actually state that unless it was said verbally in the review, because it wasn't, and all that stuff was from well before. So I'm not going to attack someone personally for something like that unless I actually saw it word for word in the review. That's where I'm gonna have to disagree with you.
Dude, if this was a court of law, evidence is evidence.
No, that would be circumstantial at best. That's not evidence.
Dude,
Evidence would be if it was in the review.
as somebody who's actually represented themselves in court, you really want to go down that road? Because I'm sorry, circumstantial evidence has gotten people put in prison.
I would say, guys, I mean, isn't there like he's reviewed a whole bunch of games previously, right? And people
He's
were like
reviewed
kind of
every
calling
Bethesda game in the last like 15 years for them, I think.
So in
He
that
did their Fallout
case,
4 review.
all right, and was it like
Gave it a 9.5, but that was on IGN's old scale.
okay, all right.
IGN has moved to not associate their numerics with what people would typically understand. I had a full-on conversation with Ty Guy Travis about this, another IGN employee. And so when you think of 7 out of 10, everyone who, at least in the States, I don't know, probably in Canada too, you can tell me if not. When you hear a 7 out of 10, you think a C, but you also think the lowest possible C in like education. You think this is okay, this is average, right? On IGN's new scale that went into effect a few years back, that actually is supposed to mean good, which if they would literally remove their numerics, this literally wouldn't have been a topic of conversation today. If they would remove the numbering of the score from their rubric and not even show that to the public, this wouldn't be a conversation. Because people get the whole reason people get up in arms is subconsciously when you see a score of 88 out of 100, you think that's a B. When you see a score of a 96, you think that's a high A, an A+. And that's not something you might even just say to yourself out loud, but it is something that your brain subconsciously thinks from like a decade and a half of education. I wrote a paper on this in college about how the education system needs to change in general because we don't actually use a proper the scoring isn't proper to begin with, but that's a total digression. But that's why people think the way they do about reviews at a fundamental level, is they associate it with the grades that they got in school. Now, is Canada also on the like A, B, C, D, F scale of grading, Invader?
To be honest, I've been out of the school system for a little while now, so I'd have to ask my teacher wife, to be honest.
That's a big mental thing that people get from this, and IGN is trying to be different. And I did look; they do have a full thing about like what each of their numbers are supposed to mean, and it goes completely contrary to what any normal person would expect from anything. Right? If they would remove the numbers and just say that the game is good, great, excellent, whatever, then there'd be no controversy. But it's because they are attempting to use a scale that is literally different from everybody else's. I wrote a whole thread about this. They're attempting to use a whole scale that's different from everybody else's, and it's different from what everyone mentally thinks about what an alphanumeric scale should be. And it's terrible. It's absolutely abysmal that they have switched to this. And they brag about it as it being like an excellent thing, that it's like industry defining. And I'm like, no, you are running against mentally what people think, how people think. That is not good. It is terrible, right? And it would be good if they truly wanted to change the way that reviews were working. They could totally just move away from alphanumerics, and no one would be any of the wiser. And there would be no controversy with just a good label on the game, because that's a perfectly fine label to put on the game. Some people might think it's good. Some people might think it's great. Some people might think it's excellent, but it's now coming out and retweeting the whole "we made Forza Horizon 4 our game of the year in 2021" is what set me off. Because like me, I personally do not actually see the bias in the same way that you guys do. I legitimately don't see it.
That was kind of odd, though.
How come they don't acknowledge that games are coming to Xbox? They're omitting them.
Because it's horrible, and I
watch the IGN's live feed all the time.
It's horrible. What's the company is horribly structured. They don't have quality control, and of course they don't have quality control for Xbox. It's the lowest platform. They have the lowest viewership for it. They don't have the quality control for it. It's not a actual bias. It's literally that the quality control is not there, and that is a problem. I said such much in my thread, but I genuinely don't believe that there is a malicious intent behind it.
I mean,
that's the difference. I don't see it.
Just recently on IGN's live
but not as a company.
IGN's live channel on Samsung Television, they had a documentary on what the FTC did wrong in the ABK trial and why Microsoft beat them because of what they did wrong.
Sure.
Rather than looking at it like Microsoft succeeded against the FTC.
Talked about that? Several people talked about that because the FTC did do a lot wrong.
But this is where, but rather than looking at, but we're looking at it from the glass half empty versus the glass half full. Microsoft actually put out over $4 billion in battling all this BS, and they actually succeeded against a very hardball government regulatory group. And rather than celebrating an out of control government regulatory group, we're over here basically angry that this group didn't have their shit together to somehow block Microsoft.
Well, is not saying this what they did wrong, criticizing the out of control group? Like you're
just how they're
looking at it
framing
from your headspace. I'm looking at it as like, this is what the idiots did wrong. This is why they failed. This is why LenaCon is a failure. These are all the things they did wrong.
They also just had the documentary the other day on on this day today is when Xbox nearly killed the Xbox brand with the launch of the Xbox One. They just recently put that documentary up. They can't let it go. They have to create their content that badmouths Microsoft. But I'm curious, are they going to have that documentary on what PlayStation does to hurt themselves, like trashing the PSP and the PS Vita, going completely greed hungry?
Wild success.
But they trashed that direction of it, and now you guys have the PlayStation Portal. That's all you got left for a handheld.
I mean,
also, I do take offense to Americans talking about education is amazing. I have 2 degrees. I was summa cum laude in high school and college. My parents are educators. Well, my father and my grandfather. I don't want to say parents. My mom's not. She's a medical professional. But I take offense to that. I'm hyper educated. Mr. Black Rider in chat.
I mean, yeah. Well, guys say just stuff in the chat, but I mean, I do agree with like both sides here. Not trying to play the in between, but I would say that I mean, I do see quite a bit of stuff like from IGN. It does seem like they're backpedaling on a lot because of some statements. That being said, I mean, the meta score overall, I mean, you know, I try not to get hung up by metas overall, guys. But at the same time, I mean, right now, PC, you know, 88, Xbox Series, yeah, the Xbox 87. There's probably a few more coming in. Like, and that's, I mean, again, that's just the regular ones. I'm curious to see what the user scores are going to be. And I don't know, to me, that's pretty awesome. Like some people ballparking in the 90s. I mean, to me, that's close enough. Like, honestly, this is a game that you're gonna like get lost in for some time. So I mean, I'm not too hung up on it. I do think though that again, it is gonna score pretty high regardless in the end. But you know what, Crusader? I mean, I didn't get your thoughts on it. Really, just the game itself. You've put a whole bunch of time into it already.
Incredible.
Like, what do you think? Honestly,
it's incredible. It's everything I wanted. It has some mechanical issues. Like, I think the biggest issue that everyone harps on is the loading screens, and the loading screens are probably the biggest issue that the game has. Everything causes you to go into a loading screen, and that's kind of frustrating. They're not too long, but like the city of Neon in particular, once you get to it, has like 1.5 billion loading screens throughout it, which is kind of frustrating. But like all of my complaints are mechanical ones. I think I've had 2 bugs in the entire time that I've been doing stuff. At least like I had one where like a quest just kind of shut down because I walked too far ahead before like something was supposed to trigger, and that was the only one that was like a bug that I ran into, and a reload fixed that. The only other issue that I ran into was I launched my ship off of the ground on a planet, and then I was like, wait, why don't I just straight up fast travel to the place that I was going to? And the game really didn't like the fact that I had taken off and then fast traveled. It really didn't like that. But again, just reloading the game fixed that. I think that one I had to quit the game out and reload. But I've had like no crashes. I've had no broken quest lines, like nothing like Blood on the Ice, if anyone knows that quest from Skyrim. That's the like super broken house in Windhelm that if you do it wrong, the quest just breaks 8 ways from Sunday if you don't know the exact path through it to make sure it doesn't break. Nothing like that so far, and I'm 22 hours in. I have a lot of tips for people because there's a lot of things that people are struggling with. Like number one, I get that perk that gets you more ammo and gets you more health packs. That's just like a perk. I think it was called Scavenger in Fallout 4. Same principle, except it's more necessary. Totally recommend that. I recommend upgrading your ship, whether it be boarding and stealing one or completing some. There's a bunch of quest lines that'll reward you ships, or upgrading your own. You really want to get more cargo space in your ship. Also note, if you go into your inventory, you have the ability to press LB to go into the cargo hull of your ship at any time. You don't need to be near the panel. That was something that took me 10 hours in the game to realize. I don't know if anyone else hasn't seen that. That's a huge thing. Sell things often. Don't pick up every spacesuit you see, because spacesuits weigh the most. There's the perk that increases your inventory capacity. I would recommend getting that. I've only done one of the factions so far, but the faction was really good, and it was the Freestar the one with the Freestar Rangers, the guys that are basically like the Texas. They're inspired by the Texas Rangers, like the Lone Ranger. That has an awesome end of quest reward. I won't spoil anything about it, but has an awesome end of the quest reward that I 10 out of 10 recommend getting. I'm trying to beeline. I was hoping to finish it before I got on here, but I'm nowhere close to the end of the game to figure out what this New Game Plus business is about. But I'm really excited that New Game Plus is an actual mechanic and not just like play the game again. Just really don't. I would totally recommend to not pick up every item and try to sell them like in maybe other Bethesda games. You really want to look at the ratio of how much the item weighs to how much it's worth and figure out like per mass what that kind of comes out to. Because the more you do that, the more you're conserving your own inventory space. And I get it. Some people don't, and that's a criticism that some people will have for the game. I actually like inventory management and stuff like that. I like that in my RPGs, and I'm probably like the rare exception to that rule. So like with Starfield, having to juggle everything and having to have like use the cargo hull on my ship and having an upgraded cargo hull on my ship and everything as a mechanic is like really, really nice to me, that there is like a form of progression. But maybe that comes from all the years of statistic Minecraft mod packs that I've played. But I also recommend, there's a perk in it's the 5th tree, the one on the right, the furthest one to the right. And it lets you get a target lock ability for your ship. That's also a really good perk to have, because you can actually target the systems on the ship. It makes it much easier to disable enemy ships by shooting their engines if you have the target lock effect. So if you want to go full pirate, that's like a necessary perk. But really, really dig into and read the perks and focus on multiple. When you're looking at guns, you will run out of ammo. So you want to have 3 or 4 guns that you're comfortable using and make sure they're all in different ammo categories so that you can bounce between them.
Yeah, how have you been favoring any like the laser or like just the traditional type of weapons?
I've been using pistols, but there are pistols in all categories. So I'm fully spec'd into maximum damage with my pistol, but I have an energy pistol. I have an M1911 that I found that uses 1 ammo type. I have another pistol that uses another kinetic ammo type. And then I'm using like an SMG that's technically counted as a rifle, and like I'm using that, and that has another ammo type. But yeah, I'm definitely spec'd into pistols of all kinds, and I found that it's It's also semi-important to have a little bit of variety, because certain weapons will come with certain inherent traits that makes them do more damage to like aliens or people or robots, and having stuff that does that, at least on the higher difficulties, is very useful, and it's worth playing on the higher difficulties, because you're just like Fallout 4, the rate at which you can get legendary items to drop is much higher on hard and very hard. So if you can get into a rhythm and you can play on the higher difficulties, it's very worthwhile, because you get very good random legendary weapons. And dump the starting ship as soon as you can. Get a different ship. Buy one. Do quest lines to get them. Doesn't matter. The starting ship is actually bad, and you won't. You might even be like, this doesn't feel bad, and then you'll get a better ship, and you'll be like, I understand what he means. The Frontier is very cool looking, but it is not very combat effective, especially later into the game when you're fighting 4 or 5 ships at a time.
All right. Yeah, I'm very curious. I haven't. I'm only like a few hours in, so I'm very curious of like again the different types of ships that are out there.
Yeah, so I have only used Class A ships, which are the smallest ones. There's Class B and Class C, but you need perks to use those. I actually don't know what perk it is in the tree that you need to use them. But those are the bigger ones. So I maybe I'll have more information on that to report back next week. But there's a ship that I got from a quest that is doing me very, very, very well. Class A, that you can get from one of the quest lines.
All right. I'll have to look into it. I mean, I guess I'll find out as I'm playing along, but all right.
Yeah.
I just know that like I've seen some people, like I've had some people message me and be like, you know what, I love the game for this, and that reason. But man, the controls for like modding your ship and whatnot, they need to be like kind of fixed up. That being said, I mean, it's so cool that you can like edit the ship that how you want it to be. I've seen people create like pelicans from Halo and just do different things already, and the game's only been out for a short period of time. It's amazing. I can't wait to see what it's going to be like when the mods appear for this game.
Yeah, like one of the things I love Radiant encounter mods in Skyrim. They're some of my favorite, the ones that just add more random shit that happens in the world. And like I can't imagine it. Modders will top what Bethesda made. They always do in the mods that they create. They do incredible things, because they take everything Bethesda did and they see everything Bethesda did, and they're like, well, what if we did this, and this, and in unimaginable ways. But I had this one Radiant quest. It wasn't a quest or anything. It was just a Radiant encounter. Flew to a system. A ship started shooting at me, and I was like, huh, that ship has a weird name that doesn't seem like an enemy faction would, right? So I took out its engines and boarded it, and found that a bunch of people had hijacked it and were holding this guy hostage. But they were all generic names. It was just a ship captain and spacers, right? It was just a completely Radiant thing, and I liberated the guy, and he gave me some money, and like I got him his ship back. And I'm just like, this is insane. Like that like this just random, and the guy had voice acting and everything, but it was, again, it was just, like a generic NPC. And I was just like, this is the type of Radiant stuff that we're getting in Starfield now, when that system started all the way back in Skyrim with the Radiant encounters. And I'm just like, this is the baseline of like Radiant quests. What are modders going to do to this? And it's going to blow my mind. I can't wait for them to release the creation kit officially. Because for anyone who's not aware, the official creation kit is not available yet for modders. It will be available probably in the next 3 months. Modders can build stuff, but they have to kind of build it on their own without the official tools, which isn't hard because it's a creation engine game. They don't obfuscate any of the file names. Like, if a file does this, it's just named what it is, right? Because Bethesda doesn't care. They want you to go in and they want you to make stuff. Do you guys see that they modded DLSS in already?
No, I was not aware.
One of the people who got a review code for the game is the modder who puts DLSS into every video game that doesn't have it. And he got a review code for it, so he actually had it up like 12 hours after the game went live. And it's, from what I understand, it's really, really good. DLSS 3.5 is really, really good for it on PC.
All right, good to know. Good to know. Kind of wondering why it wasn't there in the first place, but no.
Listen, AMD claims that there was nothing stopping them from putting DLSS in, but we know for a fact that they block when with AMD sponsored games that they blocked it in the past. So my opinion is that because of all of the backlash, they have released companies from those terms, and they're saying there's nothing stopping them now. So I actually do kind of expect it to be officially put in the coming months. But I suspect that they couldn't in time for launch because originally they weren't allowed to. Because they declined comment for weeks and weeks and weeks, then finally said that there's nothing stopping them. You wouldn't decline comment for weeks if like it hadn't been something that they negotiated out of a contract.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Carlos Alvarado with the 199 super chat. Thank you, Carlos. He says shipbuilding and base building is next level. I mean, we talked a bit about the shipbuilding, but base building, anybody touched on that yet?
I'm waiting to get into New Game Plus.
Okay.
I didn't, because so New Game Plus wipes everything, by the way. You get to keep your level and the perks you picked, and that's it.
Good to know then.
Yeah. It's not like other games where you carry your stuff into New Game Plus. You lose your stuff when you go into New Game Plus.
Yeah, I haven't touched base building, ship building, anything that scares me. I haven't touched it yet. I just want to go at it bit by bit and build my way through it.
All right. Yeah, no, I definitely want to screw around with that a bit, but yeah, that's the thing. I mean, you don't want to lose all that stuff when you transfer over. Oof, a lot of time would be wasted. But no, I mean, it depends what you want to do, right? Eric Shockley, buddy. I mean, I know you haven't been able to get into the game yet because of various things. But I mean, what are you looking forward to trying out with the game? Is there like a certain kind of a build for a character that you plan on doing?
I'm downloading. Well, I bit the bullet after everybody talking about it, and I was just like, well, I do have some reward points left, so I'm downloading it now. But I'm not too up on like all the different builds or different classes, I should say. I remember some of them from the direct, but then some that's kind of gone out the window. But definitely excited to kind of just go into it blind. Does anyone know if the skill tree is like Skyrim, where you're like locked into it? Where you kind of have to like do research to make sure you chose the right path.
From what I understand, I think there's a way to reset it. I'd have to look it up though for you.
Okay. I'll probably just research before I make a choice.
Yeah. You have an unlimited. There is no cap to what level you can hit.
Oh, okay.
There's an achievement for hitting level 100, which is going to be a grind.
Oh, okay.
But there is no level cap. So in theory, you can get all of the perks. In practice, cool. That's a lot. You're gonna go above level 100 easy.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, because that was I guess the thing with Skyrim is like if you wanted to reach a certain part of like the skill tree, you had to know that hey, if you put too many points over here, you weren't gonna have enough to reach. Like if you needed like full alchemy or whatever to to be able to max out your armor or whatever. So, but yeah, no.
It looks like you can do it with console commands on PC, which should work for anyone because the game is play anywhere. I know for a fact that you can move back and forth. I don't know if console commands turn off achievements though.
Yeah, I wouldn't think they would, but
there's some things that do and don't turn off achievements with the Elder Scrolls games on PC historically, and I don't remember if console commands is one of them or not. The second a mod touches the directory that's not an official Creation Club one, achievements are disabled. There's a mod that you can inject to get around that on Steam, but I don't know I don't know if they disable achievements. I'm gonna look that up real quick because I might DM Derek over at Tweaktown because I know he was messing with to see which console commands worked from previous Bethesda games.
Yeah, it's funny with the whole like, and it's just you see it nonstop, just mainly hardcore PlayStation fans just like ripping the game apart, like just saying like this is this is what you guys paid early access for or whatever.
I have most of them muted.
Yeah, it's just like, and they'll compare it to like, hey, here's a Horizon character, and I'm like, you understand that that's like a small, much more like limited scope, like crafted even area that you can even.
The whole thing is the cherry-picked pictures because, like, don't get me wrong, both sides do it every now and then for whichever games, but like, it's all these really like low res, like
yeah, they do.
Why do the NPCs look so much better? Like you're talking to one of the like main characters that's walking around with you in like Last of Us Part 2. I'm like, yeah, because that's all. It's already canned dialogue. It's not like they can already mocap like all of that stuff. There's so much dialogue in here. They're not gonna. That would be insane. Like the amount of amount of dialogue that they have in here and choices and things that you actually have control over that is nowhere to be found in The Last of Us or Horizon. Not even a tiny speck or percentage of like the freedom that you have in this game is there. So these same people would have torn Skyrim apart because you can, even for its time, you could find jank at the time. There was plenty of videos where people would be making fun of it. It was still an amazing game that people just sunk their whole freaking life into. Like, I just don't understand a lot of these people. Like, they would have torn it apart. They would have torn apart Skyrim. Like,
for anyone looking, it does disable achievements.
Yes, actually, that is correct.
It does disable achievements.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of because I was listening to a video the other day while I was like mowing my lawn, and a lot of those mods do carry over. I think there's even a couple from like Fallout New Vegas too that work.
Yeah, most of those are just kind of engine specific. They're not specific to the games. It's all the same. Like it's the same commands to add items to your inventory. You just need to know the IDs. It's like all of the same commands. Like I'm pretty sure TCL is still the like clip through things command. There's the scale command where you can make any model bigger or smaller, so you can have like tiny Vasco companions, or really big ones. But it seems like most of that has been retained from previous. It seems like the syntax is even the same from previous Creation Engine 1 titles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm just curious to play around with that. I mean, not that I'm like huge into using cheat codes, but I mean, it's kind of cool to use them at the same time.
It's funny that a lot the No Man's Sky comparisons, I've been seeing that nonstop, and it's just like, why can't you just go seamless through an atmosphere? I'm like, you understand when they're going out of a planet, No Man's Sky, it literally takes them like a millisecond. Like they're literally out of it, so it's like that's not even close to the scale of what it would take to get out of an atmosphere.
But to be fair, though, like, is it really even like a cool thing? I mean, like, I actually don't mind No Man's Sky at all. Like, even when it was like an earlier build, I was like, this is pretty cool. It's doing its own thing. And I respect the dev for, picking up the pieces and doing what they did. That being said, I mean, like when I look at, going, how they do that game, is it really necessary? Does it really improve my experience? Not so much. Like, this is this game actually has a story to it in Starfield, and it has other branching quests and so on. No Man's Sky, it's like a giant sandbox where you can just do, whatever, right? So
yeah, it's just it's a lot smaller. Like, sure, like it goes on forever. But like the scale of everything is like on a much smaller like actual scope. So like if you're, and plus you don't have like the freedom, like all the choices, like the dialogue, like all the stuff that comes with a Bethesda game that's not in No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
It's like these aren't the same. You're just showing like one little aspect.
Like to be fair to both games, like it's not fair to compare them. They
exactly
are just because they're sci-fi and in space does
they're really poo-pooing like No Man's Sky in the sense of like, hey, you're like if you're No Man's Sky, then you're like they're basically trying to say like, hey, if you can't do this and No Man's Sky can do it.
I would call No Man's Sky the like, so you have GTA and GTA Online, right, for GTA 5, right?
Yeah. All right, sure.
In concept, right? No Man's Sky almost feels like it's the multiplayer component of what Starfield is.
Okay.
Right? Because
right.
like a lot of like in GTA, a lot of the single player stuff doesn't translate well to being in multiplayer with a bunch of people, right? Like the mission structure and things, and like it just the whole campaign structure, right? But things like driving around with your friends and doing like heists and stuff do. And then the same thing is true with like No Man's Sky, right? Where like No Man's Sky, the fun thing to do in multiplayer with your friends is like build bases and go explore and name shit together. And so like I'm like I was thought Pete in chat was asking about the like, do you think it would be worth it if this game had a multiplayer mod down the line? And I actually don't think Bethesda games play well with multiplayer in mind because of their RPG, like the RPG elements of their story. I would recommend No Man's Sky if you wanted a multiplayer equivalent to Starfield. But note, you're going to lose those RPG elements to the game. Like that's the exact way I describe it. That like there's elements within Starfield that like is No Man's Sky, and that's great. And it fits really well with what's going on. But yeah, they're comparable to a point, but they're also not to a point, just like any video game.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Carlos Alvarado again with the 199 super chat. 248,000 Steam early access, gonna be insane on launch. Yeah, no, you're right. Launch is gonna be well, when's the official launch, guys?
November
the 6th?
Yeah.
Ooh, wow.
It looks like about 700,000 people bought the $100 edition of the game on Steam. Based on, that's a rough estimate based on like player counts as hours go up and down. There's an algorithm that SteamDB uses to calculate that, and it's fairly accurate. Which is wild that many people bought the early access $100 edition of the game.
I think the marketing was exceptional. It was, especially the live action.
That doesn't include the people who bought it on the Microsoft Store, which probably isn't that horribly many. I'd imagine if you're playing it on PC, the majority of people who are playing it on PC are just going to get the Steam version because the Steam version will work with mods better.
Well, I'm playing with the Xbox app, and I had no choice. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I think most people choose Steam.
Yeah, I think most people are going to choose Steam too, and then but I think a lot of people on PC who aren't doing the early access will end up there'll be a lot of PC Game Pass users. I can't imagine how many people are playing on Xbox. We can't get a good read on it, but it's all of I think it has, of the top 4 positions in the Xbox Store, it has 3 of them right now. I think it has 1, 2, and 4. I think it's number 1 is the base game, number 2 is the $30 upgrade, and number 4 is the $100 edition on the Xbox Store. Go check that real quick.
I'm gonna check that out. Yeah. Carlos Alvarado again with the 199 super chat. Thank you very much, Carlos. Number 1 on Steam, Windows Store, and Xbox Storefront.
Yeah, I'm gonna check the unified store. Just give me a second, because if you check it through a web browser, it's the unified.
Yeah, but the overall build up to the game, Bethesda actually starved people for a while, and the rumors came up that there was very little marketing. Then they just released everything at once, and it was exceptionally done well. The live action, and I've forgotten the channel's name, but actually building or showing the process on which they built uh, the physical or the miniature ship that they use for a live action trailer, and certain things in different departments, not just in gaming views, but they actually approach the marketing from different angles. People who are not even gamers were advertised. It was advertised to them through different means. So the hype is well deserved because the strategy in their marketing was exceptional. So you have the people who wouldn't normally play RPGs jumping on. People just want to see what this whole thing is about.
Holy shit.
That's why.
The
That's why we
premium
got it from them.
edition and the upgrade are number 1 and 2 on the PC store right now. They're ahead of Roblox, Minecraft, and Destiny 2.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
Fucking
The
wild.
hype was crazy. The hype was crazy. As a YouTuber, I'm sure all of you guys, you know that people who are not even gamers just want to see what this is all about. I think this is the effect of the marketing, and it's working. It's working really well. There's
Over
so many people
60 million
jumping in.
people played Skyrim, so I'm also, they're riding the coattails of the one of the best-selling video games of all time, you know what I mean? And it's nuts. Like it's a perfect storm for having everyone come check your game out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exceptionally well.
I'm predicting 700,000 on Steam, by the way. 700,000 concurrent on the 6th.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
If it had a unified launch where like everyone was playing it for the first time together and there was no early access, I think it would have a chance of beating out both Baldur's Gate and Hogwarts. Because of the early access launch, I don't think its peak will be as high as it could have been. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that like because you're not launching everything at one time, you're not going to have a high, like mathematically the peak just won't be as high.
Well, I mean, we'll find out soon, guys. Obviously, that's not for another couple of days, but some really big numbers here coming for Starfield and yeah, Xbox game studios in general. This is the game that they've been waiting to push out. And this isn't the only big game coming soon. I mean, I think soon we'll be having previews for was it the new Forza Motorsport. So that's exciting. Either way, I'm excited to see some more Starfield, more people being able to access the game, and to see how casuals really respond to this. Right, the casual gamer just downloading. If they have the regular Game Pass, or hey, I just want to pick up a copy of it, and so on, and see how that word of mouth is going from the early access guys. I'll be very curious. Very curious. Guys, any more thoughts on Starfield? Yes, no? All right. We'll close up this one. But I know that, we're probably going to still be talking about it going into next week. I'm very curious to hear what GeneralMLD says. I know he really wants to talk about it.
Hear him talk about it. Because I was looking, I think he has a lot of hours in it, I'm pretty sure already.
He probably does, the way that he's been talking about it, but I think he has a family thing tonight. But I know he really wants to chomp at the bits to talk about it. But guys, again, I'm loving the chat. Honestly, you guys are saying some pretty interesting things. Guys, smash that like button if you're enjoying our banter, and share this out. Let everybody know that we're live this Sunday, because I want to get more people in here. We'll hit up the next topic. Centurion had to step out. Not sure if he'll be here in a bit, but he's stepped out for now. But guys, we do have to talk about something else that kind of popped up earlier this week, and it was kind of a bit of a surprise. We got to talk about a little bit of PlayStation news. Now, earlier this week, they stated in a blog post that there will be price increases across the various tiers for PlayStation Plus, stating that the price adjustment will enable us to continue bringing high quality games and value added benefits to your PlayStation Plus subscription service. And yeah, I mean, it's curious. I mean, they led with that, but it later broke down as the following. The Essential goes for, and this is in US dollars, by the way, $5.99 to $79.99. So a pretty big increase. The Extra went from $99.99, the tongue tied there, to $134.99. And Premium, oh boy, $119.99 to $159.99. Sorry, guys, a lot of 99s there, but you get what I'm saying. Either way, pretty big jump. You look at the percentage. Ooh, it's hiked pretty high there. So as you can imagine, the response back to this has not been very positive from consumers and gamers alike. Eric Shockley, buddy, I mean, I would like to know your thoughts on this. What do you think about these hikes? Because, I mean, it is relatively normal to have hikes. Game Pass had a hike, a month ago? But this is pretty sizable. What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty hilarious. I just woke up one morning and I saw it was like 40, what was it, $40 hike for the premium edition. And I don't know how they're really justifying it.
They're not.
Well, I mean, like, I was expecting maybe maybe we brought some more of the PS. I've been dying for Resident Evil 2 to come to the store or whatever, PS Plus, and then have some achievements on it. That'd be dope. But no, like, I have the Extra, which I probably won't renew now. I probably won't even renew the PS Plus because really, I don't really play online. And then if I have to, maybe I'll sub 1 month or something if I have to really put, saves in the cloud, to transition to whatever the next PlayStation is in the future, or if I have to switch over to a console or something. But outside of that, there's just not. I think they're going in the direction that Xbox is, where they're starting to make their own, like, the base, like PS Plus, like the games you get free. Worse, because I haven't really seen anything of note recently. But
did you see this month's that was in the same announcement article?
Oh
no, was it bad?
There isn't anything that's above mixed reception. Let's put it that way. I don't like using. I don't like using scores. I don't care what score X game got. I don't care. But general reception and feel. It was Saints Row. The reboot. Another game that was like, when a game's scoring in the 50s, there's a problem with the game, and I can't remember what that game was. And then the third game was like an MMO. Was it Black Desert?
I can't remember Black Desert. I remember the new Saints Row though.
Yeah, and they talk. You know what their justification was? Bringing high quality games to the service.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah, and look what just happened to the Saints Row developer, Volition.
I feel so bad about that.
Oof. That was rough. I mean, yeah. I mean, oof.
So I'm gonna blame
games in a row.
So we're gonna blame PlayStation when inevitably Xbox, whatever you call it, it's not Xbox Live now. It's Xbox, or it's Game Pass Core. Goes up from $60 to what, $79?
Yeah, $80.
So we can blame PlayStation for that because they're technically the ones that first rose the price.
I mean, remember when Microsoft tried to raise it to $120?
I mean, they did, but they went back on it.
They went back on it.
Sony's not going back on
12
this.
hours.
Yeah, Sony's not going back on this. Plus, I didn't hear a peep. I didn't hear. You saw when the whole 120 thing happened.
Oh my
God!
Everyone,
PlayStation, Xbox, people that were neutral, whatever, or don't really look like they're a fanboy on either side. Everybody trashed it, and like I think within 24 hours they were like, "Oh shit, that one was even supposed to happen."
It was 12. It was before the day ended.
That game was bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Bad.
I didn't hear anybody like at all. I didn't hear anybody whether it was even PlayStation. I didn't hear nobody.
I got retweeted by a bunch of hardcore PlayStation guys for what I was saying about it. Like, people know who like Jay Barry is. Jay Barry was retweeting me with what I was saying with how bad it was mathematically.
Yeah, and there's that part you linked in the article. I didn't happen to catch that. Of if they're using it to plan to bring more premium stuff to, I guess they're probably seeing that they probably need to, spend some more and actually compete with Game Pass. As you know, hey, if this Activision deal goes through and Call of Duty's going in their day one, they kind of got to do something. But you kind of want to do the opposite and do what Xbox did. They were like, hey, we're we didn't do the increase on Game Pass until Starfield's about to come out, and now they're doing the increase. So, but like you want to give the stuff for a while, and then like just eat some of that loss. Like, hey, look how great of a deal this PS Plus is. Get people in it, and then raise it, because then they're like, well, it's such a good deal. It's kind of like what they did with PS Plus, where they like, hey, jump on this. It's kind of a deal if you want it, and then we're gonna force you to use it for Xbox, or not Xbox, but PS Plus, like multiplayer. And a lot of them were like, well, I already have it now, so yeah, sure, I'm not mad about it. So you got to ease it in. You can't just like, hey, I know a lot of you guys aren't actually on that premium model or whatever, but hey, we're just going to jump this up $40, and not many of you are on the tier anyway, so.
Got it. So do you want the exact quote? I can give you the exact quote. I found it. We also wanted to let this was, so by the way, this was announced at the tail end of their new of their monthly games post. We also wanted to let you know that starting on September 6th, we will be increasing the price of PlayStation Plus 12-month subscriptions globally across all benefits. This price adjustment will enable us to continue bringing high-quality games and value-added benefits to your PlayStation Plus subscription service. And they brought Saints Row, Black Desert, and Generation Zero. Generation Zero being a very poorly received video game.
I know, yeah.
I have never heard of it before this article.
Sorry, which game is this?
Generation Zero?
Oh, I've actually heard a buddy of mine was talking up that game. I think it was in Game Pass, actually, now that I think about it.
It was, from what I saw, it was not a well-received game.
I don't have experience with it personally. I just remember I don't know. I've heard some people. I mean, maybe it wasn't reviewed great. I'm just going again from
the PS4 version's the lowest version at 45 out of 100.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's not
I don't
great.
put a lot of stock in exact scores, but you put like a plus or minus 15 range on it, and I'll be like, yeah, okay, that's about where the game falls. A plus or minus 15 range on it is still awful. It's like,
yeah, I don't know. Like again, like those numbers kind of contradict. Like I don't know. Like what do you want me to say? Like the scores sound terrible, but at the same time, I'm like I've heard some decent things. I mean, even Thimber in the chat, not that bad. Generation Zero is good. I played it. It's on Game Pass. It's still So I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, anyone else in the chat, if you've played it, let us know. I mean, I'll download almost anything, so I might give it a go.
Yeah, I'll try it. Thimber, if you're saying that it's all right, I'll try it, and then I'll come back and re-render judgment.
Yeah,
because when I'm seeing it's that unfavorable online, I'm like, man, that is a bad game to put up when you're raising prices.
I mean, I do agree with you though, Crusader, that it's when they put this in the blog post and they're talking about wanting to add bringing high quality games, and then you list off those three, it's not great. It's not a good look. You could have at least had like one or two of your big first party IP in there. Maybe they're a little bit older, whatever, but they could have done a little better with the messaging there. And then, putting at the bottom the price hikes. I mean, I'm looking at these in Canadian. Oh my gosh, they're terrible.
I'm so happy I'm stocked through the end of 2024.
I'm still tempted because I know the price effect is effective, I think, September 6th. So I'm kind of wondering if I should eat it early now to do even just the essential subscription for $108 Canadian. But that it's still a big bump. I don't know if I can justify it just for some free games and multiplayer.
I do it for the cloud saves, and I don't think I can physically. I don't think I'm paying $80 a year for cloud saves anymore, which fucking sucks because you can't back up your PS5 games to thumb drives anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that caught my eye about the quotes from Sony is that they say to keep bringing quality games, and that's the funny thing.
Yeah,
It would have been more interesting if they said to, let's say, hey, give you Spider-Man 2 on day one, and people will be like, yay! No, no. Basically, they're telling you we are going to charge you more for the exact stuff that we've been doing, and that is not good. PS Plus is very well compared to Game Pass. It's not good. And if you want to increase it, you should come with something more stronger than we'll keep bringing you the same stuff that you've been getting, but pay me more. Give me money. So Sony, I feel, is being forced. I think they really don't want this service to exist. If they had their way, PS Plus wouldn't exist. But they have to maintain it because Xbox is doing it and Game Pass is killing. So they have to do it. And they're like, yeah, look, subscribers, I really don't want to do this. So if you want me to keep doing this, then you have to pay more. I think that's what Sony's doing. If they had their way, they will scrap all this and they will charge you your $70 when the game comes out, and that's it. But they have to compete. So these are the signs, or these are the symptoms of them not wanting to do it, because it's going to take a toll on their actual income. Maintaining these servers and these services is really, really tasking on the company. And I think this is the first step, and increments will come again. Because I know Sony doesn't like this, but they have to because of Microsoft.
It's
Mhm.
I mean, it's wild. They're even increasing that base tier where it's just the it's not the whatchamacallit. I can't believe they got rid of the PS Plus collection. You know that the 20 free games
Yes.
at the base tier, that's not even
Yeah.
in there anymore. It's gotten weaker, not
Mhm.
stronger.
Exactly. They just don't want to do this. They hate it.
So
I'm
they
sure
love
every
their
month.
base tier. They love their base tier because it's making you pay for your internet. They hate the tier 2 and tier 3, guaranteed. I agree with you on extra and premium. They absolutely don't want to have those.
Yeah, it's hard, but I think it's good for consumers when it comes to Game Pass. They have to force Sony's hand to make it more competitive and more affordable for people. I think it's good, but Sony doesn't want to. But I think eventually they will succumb to it. But it's just going to be very expensive. They have to add they want games to it.
I'm not trying to nitpick. I do understand, especially, in the current climate, I understand, things are getting a little more pricey right now because of, inflation and different things. But, Microsoft Xbox only increased a little bit, whereas these guys are, again, an extra, what, 35% across the board?
Wild.
Holy crap. I can eat into it a little bit, but come on. I'm not even trying to sound cheap. It's just damn, guys, gaming's not a cheap hobby. Especially for multi-console owners. And we were grumbling a little bit because of the Game Pass hikes, but this, oof. I know the PlayStation guys aren't very happy about this.
Yeah, when I'm getting retweeted by PlayStation guys, then I'm one of the most moderate Xbox guys. But when and they still they don't usually the hardcore PlayStation guys won't engage with me. When they're retweeting me, something's wrong. Like, you know something's really wrong.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can
Yeah.
find the breakdown from Derek real quick. He had percentages and everything.
Yeah, sure. We can go through that. But it's just wild. I mean, again, just as the Canadian here, guys, 108 Canadian for the essential, 182 for the extra, $216 for the premium. Oof, 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 terrible. Absolutely terrible. We're really getting it. On top of the console increases as well. Man, we're really getting hit hard by them. Ay. What
Yeah,
to do, guys?
Essential was a 33%, Extra was 33%, Premium was 35%.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's USD. I don't know the conversion rates. I don't know. It might even be more in other currencies.
Mm-hmm. And I have to agree with the guys in the chat too. Like, for example, Cerebral Paul. Hey, Paul, great to see you, bud. 30% increase and still no day and date. That's pretty big for a lot of people, right? Getting the games going to the service day one, and Sony's not doing that. What's the big draw, right?
Like, you could have made Crusader grumble. Like, I would have just if they had announced PlayStation 3 native play with this, right? Native play for PS3 games. I would have grumbled and said whatever. I would have been irritated. It would have been the same level of irritation I had with the Game Pass price increase, which was still irritated. People remember on this show, I was not happy about that. I understood the 17% ratio to keep it with the $60 to $70 games. I wasn't happy with any of that, but I would have grumbled. There's nothing. They did nothing. They had average games at best. We'll call them average because nothing on there is certifiably good, but we can call this stuff average if we want to. Even the one that was critically not met. That they didn't do anything. Like there's no improvements. It's wild. I guess Premium's getting 4K streaming, but like people, it's proven that people don't really want the streaming of games to be anything but supplementary, and it's just not a draw for Premium over Extra. Like, what is going on? It's terrible. It's terrible. I can't believe cloud saves are locked behind this. It's awful.
It's when I see this, it just reminds me. They're like, hey, I don't want to do this. If you want me to do it, you have to pay for it. that that's exactly the vibe I'm getting from this.
Yeah.
I think they should have just added maybe Spider-Man day and date to the people who maybe let's say in the 100 days after increase, those who buy it get Spider-Man day one. I mean, something like that would have made it exceptionally good.
I don't
Just
know
for
that they
100
want to
days.
risk the sales on Spider-Man. They could have done it with what's that game that's coming out this fall that's not Spider-Man but that they're publishing? It looks like Starship Troopers kinda. This is the second one in its franchise.
Oh,
They showed it off at that awful state of, or that awful showcase. Shoot, what is
Does it
called?
start with like Hell something?
Yeah, Helldivers. Helldivers.
Yeah.
They could throw Helldivers on it, and it would be more justifiable, right? Because that's not going to kill their bottom line. I guarantee you they're expecting like 10, 15 million sales of Spider-Man straight up, and that would kill them even with this price increase. Because what they're banking on here is that the increase in price is definitely going to drive away customers. That's why they're not reporting the numbers anymore. They announced that at their last investors report. Now we know why they're not going to report them, because they're expecting to lose a bunch of subscribers. But as long as they don't lose a specific amount, I did the math earlier. I forget what amount they can lose, but still be net positive with this hike. As long as they don't lose that many people, they're still in the green. You know what I mean? And it's terrible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's terrible.
Sony doesn't want to lose any money, man.
Yeah.
They want every single cent, and some people are going to pay though. It's not going to be as shocking as people think. A lot of people will still maintain their accounts, Because they just love Sony, and yeah, they will do it. They will. It's like Apple users. They will definitely pay.
Well,
Those of us who are more careful about money will stay back, but most people do it. I see them going through.
Well, I understand the preference. I mean, hey, if you love like the exclusives in that ecosystem, I completely understand. But as a multi-console owner myself, like that's where it's gonna hit more, and it just makes me like again, I can still play my games. It's just a matter of do I want to continue with this service, right? And it for again, if I'm getting hit like 30-35% more, I don't know, and I'm not getting all that much, especially if the games are going to be not as of impressive or and so on. Yeah, I'm going to be hesitant about signing up for another year, right?
And
So
even sometimes you can find some of these games on Game Pass. Some of these games that they offer, sometimes some of them are still on Game Pass. So some people are going to drop it. Those who are all conscious about their money will drop it. So yeah, I can
mhm.
see some drop coming in the future.
it,
Yeah.
it,
And then
it's
it just
it's
kind of makes me wonder like who's left here, right? Nintendo.
oh god, it's raw corporate. See, like Nintendo intrinsically increased the price of their thing because they added the expansion pass, right? But they
Oh,
added
yeah.
something at a minimum. They added something, right? You know what I mean? Like I don't agree with that being an additional cost, but at least there was an additive thing. This is wild that how much this shit went up in cost for nothing. Nothing being added at all.
Yeah. And the thing too is like it wasn't a lot of game news sites that were like really really reporting this. Yeah, like I thought they would have like really torn them to shreds. It was the actual PlayStation fan base that was like going after them.
Yeah. I so when did this article come out? This article came out like underneath some embargo. Like they hid this blog post underneath like an embargo of some kind. I don't remember which one. I don't think it was the Starfield one, because I think it was on the 31st. But like there was other news things going on. I actually expect this to be covered a little bit more this week. Because Friday the articles were Starfield. You know what I mean? Like there was no covering anything but Starfield, and then like Volition getting shut down.
I mean, like did they release this just for the fact that they thought that everything would be covered up by Starfield news?
That's certainly. I don't know necessarily about the
Exactly.
PlayStation blog 100%. That is absolutely why Embracer
Exactly.
announced the Volition closure when they did.
They're hoping
100%.
Starfield will cover up the cracks when the day comes.
Yeah, because they launched. Embracer announced that news 20 minutes after the Starfield embargo broke. It was like 20 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, that they tried to bury the news that they were closing down Volition. Which makes sense why they did it on a Friday. It's called a Friday night. Usually you would do it at night, and it would be called a Friday night
Yeah,
massacre because no one's going to report on it.
that's right.
But they just did it within an embargo so that like it would get drowned out by the trends on the trends online and the articles being written about Starfield. That is transparent from Embracer. That's why they did that. Granted, if I was to close a studio at Embracer, Volition would probably be one of the first ones. I love their games, but man, the last two it was 2 games since 2017, and they were both not good. Because
Oh,
Agents of Mayhem they released in
yeah.
2017, and it was not a good video game.
Right. Like, I mean, I knew people who did enjoy it, but it just wasn't like it wasn't something that I was looking for, and I enjoyed the Saints game, so and
Yeah,
this one was just odd. It was just so odd, I found. I don't
yeah,
know what they were trying to do with it was just very like off-putting for me personally. And it was just a buggy, broken mess too when it came out.
yeah. Thimber's not wrong now. And again, I don't know if this was totally planned because I don't know that they would know that the Imagine Dragons Starfield trailer was going to be coming out. Like, I don't know, like PlayStation would know that, like as a company, to plan their blog post. But the blog post did come out right at the same time as the Imagine Dragons thing, and that probably did cover it up a bit for PlayStation as well. Because the media seems to love when companies team up with musical artists to do things. That was like an entire news cycle for Diablo 4 when they had the Suga and Halsey song done for Diablo 4.
I did not even realize, to be honest.
Yeah. The song is called Lilith.
Okay.
But yeah, then they did the Imagine Dragons song. Imagine Dragons released a new single for Starfield on Thursday. That's absolutely what was at least part of why the stuff was covered. I saw article after article for that.
Okay, see, I didn't even realize that they did. I mean, I knew about the live trailer. I didn't know that it was Imagine Dragons though.
Well,
that
there
did
was a live action trailer, but then there was an Imagine Dragons trailer too. On the 30th. Yeah.
I didn't see it, to be
They
honest.
went heavy into the marketing for Starfield this time. And that trailer got some hate because there are people who genuinely don't like Imagine Dragons. I love Imagine Dragons. Their music is very designed in a lab to be as attractive to people as possible. And there's a group of vocal people who don't like that style of music. And that's fine, whatever. But that's part of the reason why there were articles out about that. And some people just don't like Imagine Dragons. Meanwhile, I'm here with Gene Park. You guys know Gene Park from the Washington Post?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gene Park was like, "This is awesome," because he loves Imagine Dragons. I'm like, "Yeah, Gene, it is awesome."
But yeah, guys, just to kind of round this out, though, I mean, again, nobody likes paying extra for, all the subscriptions, and I don't see much of a benefit to what we're getting already, if anything. So it just seems like a little bit less. You guys got anything else to add about the PlayStation price hike, guys, or that about it? Yes, no. All right, guys. Okay, I think, guys, that about does it for this one. Really fun one talking, just to the guys about Starfield and PlayStation Plus subscription hikes. Never a dull time in the game world. Like, I'll keep beating on that drum. Like, I know there's, some lulls here and there, but as time goes on, like, there's always something to talk about. Always. Now, guys, I hope you all enjoyed our chat tonight. It's always like really great to have you here, every single one of you, and I truly mean that. And if you enjoyed things tonight, then please hit the like button, sub to the channel if you're new here, or just keep forgetting if you stop by. And of course, hey, share this out, share this sucker out. I really, want to get more eyeballs on here for sure. And on that, we'll move over to the outros. And Michael, thank you for coming on. It was like a pleasure having you here with us tonight. Where can everybody follow you at?
Yeah, youtube.com/otheory, and on Instagram, I said Instagram, or Twitter, now X, otheory_.
All right, sounds good, brother. And yeah, great takes tonight. Guys, check out his channel. He's been posting a lot of Starfield stuff recently, and just a lot of interesting thoughts, and yeah, just a cool channel overall. A pretty cool guy. Check him out.
I mean, my man said Twitter before he said X, so you know he's legit.
I just
yeah,
X Twitter, Twit X,
God, I hate
whatever. Whatever. I just roll with it.
I love Siri, because Siri will tell me when you guys message something in our chat, and it'll be like, from X.
Oh my god.
Instead of from Twitter. Like from X. What the?
I did not even realize that. That's interesting. I have to fool around with Siri.
So they even got Siri saying X, so yeah.
All right. Well, X marks the spot. Speaking of which, Shockley, buddy, hey, some really good thoughts tonight. Loved your opinions. Where can everybody follow you?
Yeah, as always, you can find me at ShockNero on Twitter, whatever that app is called. EZShock on Xbox Live. And of course, I did a preload for Starfield, but apparently you had to probably like trigger it to do a different preload because I'm 2 hours waiting for this downloading. So, but hopefully it'll hurry up. But yeah, good show tonight. Thanks for our guests for stopping by, and everybody have a good night.
All right. Next up, the Crusader, the Dungeon Master, as I said earlier. Where can everybody find you?
What's so funny was I wasn't even in the campaign.
I know. I
was actually playing Starfield in the same room.
I was like on you, the Dungeon Master, because it was in the basement. That's all.
God. Yeah, you can find me on twitter.com or whatever you want to call, whatever Elon wants it to be called today. At Crusader3456. Same thing with Xbox and PlayStation. Feel free to hit me up anytime. I'm always around to chat. Great show tonight.
Indeed. And hey guys, you know I'm Invader. You can find me on my YouTube channel at Invader Gaming. I should be having some content coming out very soon, considering I just got a new PC. Also, find me on X at Invader_1986. Excellent show tonight. Enjoy the chat, and we look forward to seeing you all here on the next one, catching up on whatever the news may be.
Hey, Invader,
later, guys.
Achievement guides?
I'm sorry?
We're getting some Starfield achievement guides?
I don't know about Starfield. I think I might work on some other stuff personally, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll play around with some stuff. But yeah, guys, it was great having you here. Later.